What if the loudest silence in Ronaldo's life was the one that came from a phone that never rang? This is not a story of goals, trophies, or records. It's about something deeper. A boy who became a man without ever hearing his father's applause. Before the world called him CR7, he was just Cristiano. A son, waiting for his father to show up. This is the story of the call that never came. Before the crowds, before the cameras, before the millions chanted his name, Cristiano Ronaldo was just a boy with one hero. Not Maradona, not Figo, not even Eusebio. His hero was his father. José Dinis Aveiro wasn't famous. He didn't wear a suit. He didn't score goals. But to young Cristiano, he was the strongest man alive. He worked as a gardener for the local municipality. In the evenings, he volunteered as a kit man at a small football club, Andorinha. Sometimes, he'd let little Cristiano run barefoot across the pitch. Sometimes, he'd sneak him into the locker room, pretending he was just helping carry bags. Sometimes, he'd lift his son up to the stands and say, "One day, they'll be chanting your name." Cristiano would smile, not knowing how much he'd cling to those words years later. But even heroes have flaws. Dinis drank. Not occasionally. Not socially. He drank to forget. The war in Angola had scarred him. The poverty in Madeira weighed on him. The pressure of raising 4 children with barely enough to eat. It crushed him in silence. Cristiano saw it. He smelled it. He heard the bottles hit the kitchen table late at night. But he never judged him. "He's tired, that's all," he'd tell his friends. "He works hard." At school, Ronaldo didn't speak much about his family. But when they asked him who taught him to play football, he always said the same thing. "My dad gave me the ball." And he meant it. Not just the physical ball, but the idea that football was escape, structure, meaning. Even if Dinis couldn't say much, he gave Cristiano the one thing he needed most: permission to dream. Their house was small, the walls thin. Sometimes, at night, Cristiano would hear his parents arguing. Other nights, he'd hear nothing, just the quiet clink of glass and his father's slow breathing. He wished he could fix it. He wished he could win enough matches to make it all go away. So he played. And played. And played. When Cristiano turned 12 and left for Lisbon, his father stood at the gate and waved. He didn't cry. He didn't say much. He just nodded and said, "Make us proud." Cristiano smiled. But part of him wanted more. A hug. "You can do this. I'll miss you." Instead, he got a wave, and silence. In the months that followed, the distance between them grew. Calls became shorter. Letters fewer. But Cristiano held on to one thought. "When I make it, everything will change." He imagined Dinis sitting in a stadium, watching him score. He imagined lifting a trophy and pointing to the stands. He imagined the silence between them breaking. He didn't know that silence would one day become permanent. Fame doesn't always bring people closer. Sometimes, it builds walls, silent, invisible, and impossible to climb. When Cristiano left Madeira for Lisbon at age 12, he carried a small suitcase, a pair of borrowed boots, and the sound of his father's last words echoing in his head. "Make us proud." But what did pride look like from far away? Life in Lisbon was hard. He cried often. Missed home. Missed his mother's cooking, his sister's jokes, and his father's quiet presence, even if it came with the smell of alcohol. Phone calls were brief. Dinis wasn't much of a talker. Are you eating? Are you training? Stay focused. That was it. No warmth. No laughter. Just updates, like a report, not a relationship. Cristiano tried to bridge the gap. He'd send postcards. Write short letters. Tell his siblings to hug dad for him. But Dinis was slipping. The alcohol was no longer a shadow, it was a storm. His body grew weaker. His memory foggier. His voice quieter. Sometimes, when Cristiano called home, his mother would say, "Your father's resting." He knew what that meant. As he rose through sporting's ranks, there were moments he wished his father had been in the stands. A debut match. A stunning goal. A coach's praise. But there was no one. Just empty seats, and a name he hoped would one day matter. Then came Manchester United. A whole new world. Big city. Bigger pressure. And still, no call from home. No, "We're proud of you." No, "I saw your match." Just echoes. At Old Trafford, the stadium roared. Reporters wrote about him. Sir Alex challenged him. Fans began to believe. But the one man Cristiano longed to impress said nothing. One night, after a dazzling performance, he called home. His mother answered. He asked, "Did Dad watch the game?" Long pause. "He's not feeling well." He was tired. Cristiano didn't say anything. Didn't ask again. He knew. He began to carry two weights. The pressure to become a star. And the pain of not being seen by the person he wanted to see him most. Fame is loud. But silence is louder. In every goal celebration, in every interview, in every lonely hotel room after the match. He wondered, does he even know who I'm becoming? But he pushed forward. Trained harder. Played better. Smiled bigger. Not because everything was okay, but because pretending was easier than explaining. He told the world he was fine. He told himself he didn't need anything more. But deep inside, he just wanted one call. One voice saying, "I'm proud of you, son." September 6, 2005. Cristiano had a match to prepare for. Portugal was scheduled to face Russia in a World Cup qualifier. He had trained. He had smiled. He had gone through the routine. But something was wrong. A strange stillness. A kind of silence that didn't belong on match day. Then came the knock. His roommate opened the door. A team official walked in, quiet, pale, eyes lowered. Cristiano turned. The man didn't say hello. Didn't say good luck. He just said, "Can we talk outside?" Cristiano knew. He didn't know how. Or why. But he knew. Outside the room, the hallway felt colder. The official hesitated, then whispered, "Cristiano, your father has passed away." Just like that. No warning. No preparation. No final call. Just silence. He stood there, frozen. No scream. No tears. Just stillness. His mind raced. Memories collided. His father lifting him on his shoulders at the park. His last call. That quiet voice. Sounding tired. He was just tired. But this time, he wouldn't wake up. Cristiano walked back into the room, slowly. Sat on the edge of the bed. No one knew what to say. His teammates left him alone. The coach offered his condolences. He didn't respond. That night, Cristiano didn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, clutched his phone. He scrolled through old messages, reread old voicemails. There was nothing recent. Nothing new. The last call had never come. He wanted to scream, punch a wall, break something. Instead, he did nothing. He just sat there, still. The next morning, he told the coach he wanted to play. The staff tried to stop him. Take time, grieve, go home. But Cristiano shook his head. If I don't play, I'll fall apart. That night, he stepped onto the field. Shoulders straight, face calm, eyes empty. Every step hurt. Every pass echoed. Every moment felt unreal. He wasn't playing for Portugal. He was playing for a man who'd never get to see what he had become. After the game, he went straight to the airport. No interviews. No smiles. He flew to Madeira. Walked into a funeral he couldn't process. There was his father. Still. Cold. Silent. Cristiano stood beside the casket. Stared at the man who gave him his first ball. The man who never watched him lift a trophy. And he whispered, "I'll make sure the world remembers your son." Grief doesn't always come in tears. Sometimes it walks beside you. Quiet, constant, and heavy. After his father's funeral, Cristiano returned to Manchester. But he didn't come back the same. He trained. He played. He smiled for the cameras. But inside, he was hollow. His teammates noticed the silence. He laughed less. Spoke less. Stayed longer at the gym, not to grow stronger, but to stay busy. Because when he stopped, the silence screamed. He missed the man who never saw him lift the trophy. Missed the call that never came. Missed the chance to say thank you. Missed the chance to say I love you. So he buried the grief. Deep. Locked it away with sweat, goals, and repetition. But pain finds cracks. One night, after a training session, Cristiano stayed behind. Long after everyone had left, he sat alone on the bench in the locker room. Sir Alex Ferguson entered, quietly. He didn't speak at first. He sat beside him. Two men. No words. Just silence. Then Ferguson said, "You don't have to carry this alone." Cristiano looked down. His throat tightened. But he said nothing. In the weeks that followed, Ferguson did more than coach. He checked in. Gave space. Offered strength, without demanding performance. And when Ronaldo missed chances, lost focus, or lashed out, Ferguson didn't bench him. He reminded him, "You've already proven yourself. Now, live the life he wanted for you." Slowly, Cristiano began to rebuild. Not with words, but with actions. He poured everything into football. Every goal, every run, every drop of sweat became a tribute. He didn't talk about his father. Not in interviews. Not in press conferences. Not even with his closest friends. But he never stopped playing for him. One day, a journalist asked, "You never mention your dad. Why?" Cristiano paused. Then answered, "Because if I start, I might not stop." The pain never left. It became part of him. A quiet fire. He learned to live with absence. To build strength not in what was said, but in what was felt. Sir Alex later said in an interview, "He was just a boy when he came to us. But after his father passed, he became something else. Not colder. Not harder. Just sharper." and that sharpness. It would take him to heights no one imagined. But deep inside, in the quiet moments, when the crowd faded and the lights dimmed, he still hoped, just once, that he'd hear the phone ring. Some promises are never spoken. They're carried. In silence. In sweat. In legacy. Cristiano Ronaldo never gave a public tribute to his father. No dedications. No grand speeches. No teary interviews. But every match, every title, every roar of the crowd was a message sent to a man who could no longer hear him. After the pain faded into focus, Cristiano began to rise, not just as a footballer, but as a symbol of relentless will. The boy who once cried in a dorm room in Lisbon was now lifting trophies at Old Trafford. Premier League, FA Cup, Champions League. Each medal shined like a piece of the promise he made. I'll make sure the world remembers your son. And they did. In 2008, he won his first Ballon d'Or. He held the golden sphere, looked up into the lights, and for a moment, didn't smile. Because it wasn't about the trophy. It was about the road that led there. The stitched shoes. The silent phone. The funeral in Madeira. The words he never heard, "I'm proud of you." As his name spread across continents. As shirts with Ronaldo printed on the back sold in every corner of the world. He remained anchored by one truth. His success wasn't for attention. It was for redemption. He couldn't change the past. Couldn't bring his father back. Couldn't replay the missed moments. But he could honor them. Years later, in a rare interview, he was asked, "What drives you now? You've already won everything." Cristiano paused. Then said, "Not everything." He never explained further. But some understood. In 2016, when Portugal won the European Championship, he limped off the field in tears, unable to play. But from the sidelines, he shouted, directed, lived every minute. When the final whistle blew, he collapsed to the ground. And in the chaos of celebration, he looked up. Past the stadium. Past the stars. And whispered, "This one's for you." No statue. No banner. No public tribute. Just a silent son who kept his promise in front of the entire world. There lived, through silence, through sacrifice, through pain. Cristiano Ronaldo's journey isn't just about football. It's about the weight of a missing voice. A father never seen in the stands. A call that never came. But through every goal, every triumph, every step toward greatness, he kept a promise no one else could hear. And maybe that's why his story connects with so many of us. Because we all have someone we wish had stayed long enough to see us become who we are. If this story moved you, share it. Leave a comment. Tell us who you carry in your own silence. And if you haven't yet, subscribe for more stories that reveal the heart behind the headlines. This is just one of many untold chapters.